Warriors fans, things are heating up in the Bay, and the drama around Jonathan Kuminga just refuses to go away. 4 weeks now, the front office has been trying to figure out what direction to take, but every attempt to get him to sign on the dotted line or even buy into the project has fallen flat. There were even reports that ownership went as far as flying out to Miami to meet with him personally, hoping a face-to-face conversation would calm things down and bring clarity. But here we are, only a couple of weeks from training camp, and the situation still feels unresolved. And if that wasn't enough pressure, word is that Jimmy Butler himself has stepped in, asking the Warriors point blank, what's the plan? Sign him or move him, but stop dragging it out. When a star like Jimmy is voicing those kinds of concerns, you know the rest of the locker room, guys like Steph Curry and Draymond Green, are not thrilled either. It's a bold statement, but Butler basically said what everyone has been thinking. A championship team cannot start the season with uncertainty hanging over it. And to be fair, the Warriors have been down this road before. They know how fragile chemistry is, how one piece out of sync can drag down the rhythm of the entire group. Steph himself dropped a subtle but telling comment about a month ago, basically telling Kuminga to stop worrying, play his game, and let everything else fall into place. That was his way of saying, look, we're on a mission to win another ring, and we don't have time for side stories. And this is where it gets tricky. Kuminga is obviously talented. No one can deny his athleticism, his flashes of brilliance on both ends of the floor, and the idea of what he could become in the future. But the problem is that future feels like it's colliding with the Warriors now. This roster isn't built for 5 years from now. It's built to maximize the final prime years of Steph, Draymond, and Klay. If Kuminga isn't on the same page from day one, that tension is only going to grow, and the result could be a wasted season. That's why the trade talk has started to sound less like speculation and more like a necessity. The logic is straightforward. If you can't get him to commit, then move him while his value is still high. Package him for players who fit the system, who buy into the Warriors' culture immediately, and who can contribute to winning basketball right now. This roster has multiple open spots, even when you include the two-way contracts, so there's no shortage of room to add pieces. The goal isn't to land another superstar. It's to bring in steady contributors who can solidify the bench, step into the starting lineup when needed, and help carry the load through an 82-game season. That's why the front office has to think carefully about where they send Kuminga if a trade does happen. Sending him somewhere in the Western Conference is risky. The last thing the Warriors need is for him to figure it all out on a rival team, like the Kings or the Suns, and then come back to haunt them in the playoffs. If he's going to be moved, the safest play is shipping him east, where he can either develop on a rebuilding team or join a playoff hopeful without creating a direct threat to Golden State's path. Teams like the Bulls and Heat have already been floated, but there are other franchises that make sense too. The Hawks are looking to stay competitive, and Kuminga could fit their timeline while the Warriors grab veterans in return. Then there are the Wizards and Hornets, two organizations stuck in messy rebuilds that might be willing to gamble on his upside. Imagine swapping him for someone like Miles Bridges, who has an expiring deal and fits perfectly into the Warriors' long-term salary plans. Or targeting a young talent like Cam Whitmore, whom many believe has as much, if not more, potential than Kuminga. These are the types of deals that might not blow fans away on paper, but they check the boxes. They clear up the current drama, they add useful rotation players, and they preserve the flexibility Golden State needs for the future. And make no mistake, flexibility matters. The Warriors already have their eyes on 2027, when names like Giannis and Jokic could hit the market. That means every contract they take on now has to be carefully weighed against the bigger picture. Miles Bridges, for example, has a deal that would expire right on time for the Warriors to reset and go star hunting again. That's the kind of move that aligns with both the short-term push for a championship and the long-term vision for staying relevant after Steph's era. There are even wilder scenarios being tossed around, like involving the Sixers in a sign-and trade. Philly is stacked with talent, but always looking for that extra piece to push them over the top. If Daryl Morey sees Kuminga as a win-now addition, the Warriors could potentially pry away someone like VJ Edgecombe or other young assets. It's a long shot, sure, but these are the kinds of creative conversations Golden State has to explore. And yet, while all this speculation swirls, the core of the message remains the same. The Warriors don't have time to play games. Jimmy Butler putting pressure on the situation is just confirmation of what the leaders in Golden State already feel. Steph, Draymond, and the rest of the veterans aren't here for distractions. They want clarity. They want commitment. And if Kuminga isn't ready to give that, then it's time to move on. The irony is that moving on could actually strengthen the Warriors, even if Kuminga goes on to succeed elsewhere. Sometimes subtraction really does become addition. By trading him, the team sends a clear signal. The championship window is now, and only players fully bought into that vision will be part of it. That was the case last season when Golden State went on a strong run after shaking things up, and it could be the case again this year. Once the Kuminga situation is resolved, the front office can turn its attention to rounding out the roster with veterans still available in free agency or with players squeezed out of crowded rotations on other contenders. Fans have already seen names like Seth Curry and Al Horford linked to Golden State, but there's potential for even more depth moves. Kelly Oubre, Kevin Huerter, Buddy Hield, Malcolm Brogdon, Alex Len, the list goes on. These are the types of players who might not headline SportsCenter, but they can swing a playoff series with their shooting, defense, or veteran savvy. The Warriors thrive when they have a deep, versatile bench, and this season will be no different. So as training camp looms, all eyes are on one decision: what to do with Jonathan Kuminga. The longer it drags on, the louder the frustration grows inside the locker room. The message from the veterans couldn't be clearer: either commit or get out of the way. And if the front office listens, we could see a trade sooner rather than later, one that finally allows Golden State to put the drama behind them and focus on what they do best: chasing championships. Once the conversation shifts from whether Jonathan Kuminga should stay or go, the next big question becomes what exactly the Warriors can get in return and how those moves would reshape the roster. That's where things get really intriguing, because the organization isn't just thinking about this upcoming season, they're also planning years down the line. And when you have Steph Curry still playing at an elite level, but also edging closer to the twilight of his career, you don't have the luxury of waiting around for a young player to figure himself out. That urgency is why every possible trade scenario is being evaluated with both immediate impact and long-term flexibility in mind. Take the idea of moving Kuminga to the Hornets, for example. Charlotte isn't exactly known for stability or winning, but they are a team desperate for talent and could gamble on his upside. In exchange, the Warriors could land Miles Bridges, a player who doesn't perfectly fit the modern spacing game, but brings toughness, athleticism, and scoring to the table. His contract situation is even more important: an expiring deal that keeps Golden State's books clean for 2027, the year the front office wants to keep as wide open as possible to chase megastars. That's the kind of chess move the Warriors have to think about. Even if Bridges is just a one-year rental, he gives the team an experienced contributor right now and doesn't tie their hands later. Another scenario that keeps coming up is the Wizards. Washington has been stuck in limbo for years, unable to truly rebuild or compete, and they're always in need of young players with star potential. Trading Kuminga, there might not net a household name, but imagine if Golden State could pry away Cam Whitmore or a similar prospect in the deal. Whitmore has shown flashes of being a versatile wing who could thrive in the right system, and he's exactly the kind of player the Warriors could develop on their own terms. He fits better with the team's long-term culture while still giving them someone who can contribute in spots right away. It's a lower-risk bet than continuing to drag out Kuminga's situation with no guarantees. Then there's the possibility of involving bigger contenders in the East, like the Sixers. Philadelphia has a roster that looks powerful on paper with Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and now Paul George, but they always seem to be one piece short when it matters most. Daryl Morey is not shy about making bold moves, and he's on record saying he wants proven talent, not rookies. That could open the door for a creative deal where Kuminga lands in Philly and the Warriors pull back a younger asset or rotational piece that better fits their style. Even if it sounds far-fetched, these are the kind of conversations that happen behind the scenes because both franchises are under pressure to maximize their current windows. While the trade talk is fascinating, What really matters is the mindset of the Warriors' core players. Jimmy Butler voicing his frustration just amplifies what Steph Curry and Draymond Green have probably already expressed privately. Enough with the distractions. They know how slim the margin is for a title run. Every season lost to drama or wasted potential is a season you never get back, especially when your leaders are in their mid-30s. That's why they want clarity. And clarity comes from either getting Kuminga to buy in completely or moving him for players who will. There's no middle ground here because middle ground doesn't win championships. Now, let's imagine the Warriors actually pull the trigger and trade him to an Eastern Conference team. What happens next? The front office suddenly has a clear path to finishing off the roster. They've already added veterans like Seth Curry and Al Horford, who bring shooting, leadership, and postseason experience. But that's not enough. To truly compete with teams like Denver, Boston, and Milwaukee, they'll need more depth, more shooting, and more defensive versatility. That's where the second wave of moves comes in. Free agency is still full of names who could provide value. Players like Kelly Oubre Jr. or Buddy Hield have been mentioned, both of whom would instantly improve the Warriors' spacing and perimeter scoring. Hield in particular could be a lethal addition, a pure shooter who thrives in catch-and-shoot situations, exactly the kind of weapon you want running alongside Steph and Klay. There's also the possibility of trading for someone like Kevin Huerter, a reliable wing scorer who knows how to play within a system. These aren't headline-grabbing trades, but they are the kinds of moves that fill gaps and give a team the balance it needs across an 82-game season and into the playoffs. The other avenue Golden State can explore is the roster crunch that always hits contending teams before the season begins. Look at the Knicks, for example. They're loaded with NBA-ready players, but simply don't have enough roster spots for everyone. That's how players like Malcolm Brogdon or Alex Len suddenly become available. For the Warriors, those are exactly the types of veterans who could slide in seamlessly and give them stability off the bench. Brogdon brings ball handling and defense. Len adds size in the paint, and both come without the kind of long-term financial baggage that would jeopardize the 2027 reset. And don't forget the trade exceptions the Warriors have at their disposal. Those can be packaged together to pick up useful role players who are on expiring contracts. A move like that doesn't make headlines, but has real impact over the course of a season. Golden State has been at its best when it blends star power with depth, and the front office knows it. That's why the Kuminga decision is so critical. Once that domino falls, everything else becomes easier. The plan becomes clear, the distractions vanish, and the team can focus entirely on building chemistry and preparing for the grind ahead. What makes this moment so fascinating is that it feels like a crossroads. On one side, you have the gamble of keeping Kuminga, hoping he figures it out and becomes the player many believe he can be. On the other side, you have the certainty of moving on, sacrificing potential upside for immediate stability. Both paths have risk. If he stays and doesn't commit, the season could implode. If he leaves and becomes a star elsewhere, fans will ask why the Warriors gave up too soon. But the harsh reality is that you can't sit in limbo forever. Championship windows don't wait, and Steph Curry's prime years are not going to last forever. Before we continue, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Dubs updates. Let's keep going. Whispers are circulating through the basketball world, and fans are buzzing with anticipation. The Golden State Warriors might be about to pull off a move that could reshape the landscape of the league. According to insiders, the team is eyeing a dynamic Filipino duo, SOTTO and RHENZ ABANDO, both widely regarded as future stars. While nothing is official yet, the mere possibility has already set social media ablaze, with highlight reels and speculation dominating basketball forums. SOTTO, towering at an imposing height and boasting a versatile skill set, has long been viewed as one of Asia's brightest prospects. His combination of size, mobility, and touch around the rim has scouts drooling, and many believe he has the potential to be the centerpiece of a franchise. Meanwhile, RHENZ ABANDO, known for his athleticism, scoring prowess, and fearless competitiveness, has been turning heads in every league he's played in. Together, they represent not just a pairing of talent, but a cultural phenomenon. Two athletes who could inspire a generation of Filipino fans and significantly expand the Warriors' global reach. Rumors suggest that the Warriors' front office has been quietly monitoring both players for months, assessing not only their skills, but their fit within Golden State's high-paced, sharpshooting system. The allure is obvious. Sotto's rim protection and interior presence, combined with Abando's perimeter threat and slashing ability, could provide a perfect complement to the team's existing stars. If the whispers are true, we could be witnessing the birth of a new splash duo, one that might carry the same excitement and hype as previous Warriors pairings. Of course, skepticism remains. Neither player has yet proven themselves at the NBA level, and the transition to one of the league's most scrutinized franchises is no small feat yet. The buzz is undeniable. Fans are already imagining Sotto swatting shots alongside Draymond Green, while Abando pulls up for deep threes with Steph Curry. The prospect alone has sparked conversations from Manila to San Francisco, with basketball enthusiasts eager to see whether the rumor will become reality. For now, it remains just that, a rumor, a tantalizing glimpse of what could be. But if the Warriors do make a move for Kai Sotto and RHENZ Abando, the ripple effects will be felt far beyond the Bay Area, possibly heralding a new era where Filipino stars take center stage on the NBA's biggest stage. And that, more than anything, is enough to keep fans on the edge of their seats. Stay updated exclusively with the latest Dub Nation news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep getting daily updates on the Warriors. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. Your input is essential for the Dubs community. Stay tuned for the next video.